The abyss was in flux. Many demon lords had fallen, and a new prince of demons was on the rise. The winds of change howled through the great demon mother's fetid forest nursery, and her enslaved minions quaked in confused terror. A scream rent the air. Pure agony, a birthing mother's torment. Out of the noxious mist, a half-orc warlock strode with purpose. He was very handsome for one of orc heritage, and if he would only smile, he could melt the heart of any fair maiden. He wore blood-red robes and carried a well-known staff of power that made all the guardians of the forest flee in abject terror. In life, Deathblood was the war chief of the Blood Clan and younger brother to the legendary General Bloodblood. In death, the war chief's willing soul was bound in eternity to the mighty demon lord Therumgul. The grovelling imp known as Redblood trailed behind him. Deathblood crested the rise and looked upon the mother of demons. Her scream hit a high note, and the trunk of a skeletal tree shattered and toppled to the ground. The mother of all demons was massive, a good 50 feet in height. The red skin of her swollen belly roiled and undulated as her unholy unborn thrashed and kicked. She screamed again and another tree fell. Her body was a mutated mass with too many misshapen legs, useless for standing and walking. She hadn't moved from her nursery in an age. Tentacles, long and short, sprouted from her arms and lower torso. A pair of great dark horns crowned her head, and her breasts were shriveled things drained to the point of collapse by eons of suckling her demon spawn. Demonic attendants rushed about beneath her in a panic. They knew that something was seriously wrong with their mistress. Blinded by pain, the mother reached into a basket by her side and fumbled to pick up a harvested stinger from a giant hell wasp. She put it in her mouth, bit down and sucked out the venom. After a few moments the venom took effect and the pain from her belly lessened. She was able to open her eyes. It was then that she noticed the half-orc warlock and his imp, who calmly watched her from the ridge.
"What are you doing here, worm?"
she growled, impatient and annoyed at this intrusion.
"Oh, great mother,"
he said, with unblinking eyes.
"I have come to bear witness to your greatest triumph."
She looked down at her belly, then back to the warlock, and narrowed her eyes. This birthing was like nothing she had ever experienced before. She had given birth to so many demons over so many millennia, and it had never hurt like this. In fact, the birthing process was usually a great pleasure and release for her. This one was growing too fast, too big, and too powerful.
"This is your doing,"
she hissed, and at that moment her belly was pierced by an iron spike from within. A steady stream of thick blood trickled down her belly. The demon mother groped for another hell wasp stinger. This abomination within her was not just growing into a mighty demon, but it was forming powerful magical artifacts around itself as it grew. She could feel the enchantments growing in power within her. One of the artifacts was full of iron spikes that scraped and punctured her internal organs as the unborn fought to escape her womb. Suddenly, two of the demon mother's legs flew out wide, and with a mighty push, she expelled the newborn in a gush of blood and pus. Her scream sent out a shockwave and knocked down trees and minions alike. The half-orc warlock kept his feet, anchored by his staff, but his robes billowed out behind him. His imp blew away like a tumbleweed in a gale. The great mother of demons slumped as far as her mutated body would allow. Her head rested on her withered chest, but her eyes were open and full of fury. A maelstrom of wind and power rose from the dead forest around the nursery glade, with the Great Mother seated in the eye of this gathering storm. Deathblood grinned and showed pearly white teeth and tusks. His gaze focused on the mass of flesh, iron, blood and mud at the Demon Mother's bloated feet. The newborn demon stood, 15 feet tall and fully formed. His skin was demon red, with immense unnatural muscles. His lipless mouth appeared to be set in an eternal growl, with sharp teeth stained with old blood. His eyes glowed an orcish green, and his right leg was made of wood from mid-thigh down. In place of a knee joint, his peg leg held the skull of a half-orc. Beneath his tattered blue loincloth hung the pulsing cord that still joined mother and son. On his head was a dark blue tricorn hat. No, not a hat, but a flesh and bone extension that sprouted from the top of his skull, like some sort of natural armour, and affixed with a pair of curved horns. Around his neck hung a wand pouch, and at his waist was a thick belt embossed with the letters BB. In his left hand he held a wicked-looking shield with a ring of iron spikes set on its edge. The spikes dripped with gore and blood from the mother demon's womb. The shield was stained with old blood to form the sigil of a T. Over his shoulder was strapped a mighty great axe, also stained with dried blood. With a deliberate wave of his right hand, the great axe smoothly drew itself from its sheath and floated before the newborn demon. He flicked a clawed finger and slashed downward. The axe dropped and severed the bloody cord. From the rise at the edge of the clearing, the half-orc warlock shouted into the gale,
And thus we have witnessed the demon birth of General Blood.
The general sneered and stepped close to the mother of demons. "You have done well to spawn me, but your work this day is not yet done. Take my seed and bear me a new and even more powerful blood horde." With that, the general leaned forward and a beam of necrotic green light shot from his eyes and pierced the demon mother's belly. She opened her mouth to scream once more, but nothing came out. She was paralyzed, yet still fully aware of what was being done to her, of the hijacking of her womb. A new blood demon rapidly grew within her. Within 60 seconds it was fully formed, outfitted for battle, and it landed with a thud in the mud at her twitching feet. By the time it stood up to its impressive 10 feet in height, the next spawn was delivered in the mud at her feet. In short order, the Mother of Demons produced over 100 blood horde demons of all shapes and sizes. Some of them had distinctive features, reminiscent of the recently deceased contestants from the Crucible of Fate, who had willingly or unwittingly granted power over their souls to Therangul. Finally, the Mother of Demons was released from her paralysis and she slumped in exhaustion. The storm around her abruptly ceased, and debris rained down from the sickly green sky. Her eyes, however, never left General Blood. They burned with a hatred that threatened to rage for a millennia. A deathly silence filled the grove. General Blood let out a mighty roar, and the Blood Horde roared with him.